Assalamu alaikum students. I am Shakeel Ahmed, your history teacher. Our today's topic is the work of Haji Shariatullah. We will discuss this topic under these headings. First one is the early biographical details, then beliefs, third one is work, and then influence. So the first heading is the early biographical details. Under this heading, we will discuss about the early life of Haji Shariatullah. He was born in 1781 in Faridpur district, which was the part of East Bengal. Haji Shariatullah belonged to a farmer family, and in 1799 he travelled to Arabia for performing Hajj. There he stayed for the next 19 years, and he became greatly influenced by the beliefs of Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahab. On his return to East Bengal, he started his own reform movement designed to purify Islam of the Hindu influences. He died in 1840, and his work was carried on by his son Mohsinuddin. Now we'll discuss the beliefs of Haji Shariatullah. Haji Shariatullah believed that the miserable condition of the Muslims in India led to the country being Darul Harb. This meant an area where non-Muslims ruled. Haji Shariatullah said that in such areas, Friday and Eid prayers should not be offered. He also believed that the Muslim community had moved away from the true Islamic practices. He wanted them to return to what he thought was the proper observation of Islamic duties, what he called frais. So that's why the movement started by Haji Shariatullah was called the Fraisi movement. The Fraisi movement supported the idea of jihad against the non-Muslims who were undermining the true principles of Islam. Regarding the works of Haji Shariatullah, he found that the Muslims of East Bengal had been oppressed both by the Hindus and by the British rulers. Previously, the Muslims have been the ruling class in Bengal, but when the British took over, they worked with the local landowners, what he called zamindars, who were mainly Hindus. The Muslims had also been given few opportunities in education and employment. So, as a result, many important Muslim families had been reduced to near poverty. So, he started his Fraisi movement to restore the pride of the Muslims and to remove what he thought were the Hindu practices which had crept into their religion. Emphasis was placed on praying for past sins and on promising to lead a righteous life in the future. An important part of this reform would be to follow the religious obligations of a true Muslim. The success of Haji Shariatullah's movement caused great concern amongst the Hindus of East Bengal. In that region, Hindu and British landlords had carried economic oppression of the Muslim peasants. The landlords didn't want Haji Shariatullah creating difficulties for them and were very alarmed that the Muslim cultivators, the farmers, were now getting united. Actually, the movement of Haji Shariatullah was creating awareness among the Muslim peasants. So, the Hindu landowners, who were called the zamindars, they drove Haji Shariatullah out of the region to Nawabganj in Dhaka district, where he died in 1840. His work, however, was carried by his son Mohsinuddin, who continued to work to improve the position of Muslims in East Bengal. Further, he introduced very significant economic reforms. For example, uh, he divided East Bengal into areas called circles, each under the control of his Khalifas. They were responsible for the social and spiritual welfare of the people in their areas. Uh, Further, he helped the peasants to oppose the excessive taxes imposed by the Hindu and British landlords. Thirdly, his son Mohsinuddin's opposition to the payment of taxes led to unrest in East Bengal, but he went on even further and threatened to declare a jihad against the British rule. Uh, as a result, the British government arrested Mohsinuddin and put him into prison. After his death in 1860, the death of Mohsinuddin, that movement was almost finished. Now we will discuss the impacts or influence of the Friesi movement in that area. Friesi movement was influential for many reasons. For example, it gave encouragement to Muslims at a time when they were demoralized by the oppression they suffered from the Hindus and the British. Friesi movement brought about a spiritual revival which led to a revival in the Islamic religion in that area. Hindu influences were removed from Islamic practices. It also had an important political and economic impact. The Bengal farmers became united in their opposition to the harsh treatment they received. They became more aware of their rights, and the political unity began to grow among them. This was to prove important in later years as the Muslim demands for their own homeland grew. It might be said that some of the seeds of the Pakistan movement were sown by the Friesi movement.